What's up, everyone? Slasher Movie Reviews here, and the time has come. It is time to count down the top 10 best movies of 2017. 2017 was a crazy year for movies. I saw more movies this year than I ever have. In fact, I saw 176 films released in 2017 alone this year. So making this top 10 list was extremely difficult and I needed some time to do it. Before we begin, I have to shout out a few honorable mentions. These are films that I personally love that just didn't crack my top 10 list. And those films are A Ghost Story, The Shape of Water, The Beguiled, The Disaster Artist, and Better Watch Out. Now, starting my list off at number 10, I have Bad Genius. This movie came out of nowhere for me, but it blew me away. Bad Genius is this sort of thriller about a group of kids who are trying to make profit and get away by cheating on standardized tests. It is so much fun, but extremely smart and wild. The characters are so dynamic and so interesting. It felt like this weird sort of team up of Aaron Sorkin and Edgar Wright. Consistently smarter than I ever thought it would be, while being infectiously fun, and the direction that the plot went in was always surprising. And whether they got caught or got away, I was very fascinated in where this film was taking me. Number 9 is The Killing of a Sacred Deer. 2017 offers us a lot of polarizing films, and this one in particularly, the way that this world is built, the way that characters speak, is not going to be for everyone. Everyone speaks in this sort of monotone world, and everyone just is so blunt, and it's super chilling and super uncomfortable to watch. The story that this film goes in is unpredictable, and it's just a very wild experience to watch. Number 8 is The Square. Now, this film honestly felt like I was actually going through an art exhibit, like a museum, and I was experiencing these different exhibits and these wild rides, and I couldn't take my eyes off the screen. It was bizarre, it was polarizing, from sequences like a guy pretending to be a gorilla in a large crowd, to a condom sequence with Elizabeth Moss. Like, all of it was infectiously fun, but weird, and I just had a really great time watching this. Number 7 is Phantom Thread. I loved this movie. Paul Thomas Anderson's latest film is honestly, in my opinion, one of his best films. The performances from Daniel Day-Lewis and Vicky Krieps are extraordinary. Their chemistry in this movie works very well. They've got so many different dynamics. They're coming from two different sides of the worlds, but when they come together, they make their own world, and it's super believable, and the direction that this plot goes in is wild. It's bonkers, but I think my favorite thing about this movie is not just only the plot and the actors, but how Paul Thomas Anderson weaves these little bits of dark comedy into this film. It really gives this movie an identity like I've never seen. Number 6 is Personal Shopper. I love this movie, and this movie consistently is what it is not. It is constantly shifting genres while all being anchored by a career high performance from Kristen Stewart. She is incredible in this movie. It is super engaging, it is confusing, it is scary, it is all these different emotions, and it completely keeps you on edge. I have seen this movie so many times, and I just get completely lost in it. And I think the text message sequence is just horror 101. It really freaked me out and got under my skin. Number 5 is Lady Bird. Greta Gerwig's latest film is extraordinary. This is honestly her best film, in my opinion. How she taps into motherhood and daughter and mother relationships, and honestly just life in general, is extremely earnest and real. Like, even if you haven't experienced the relationship that Lady Bird goes in this film, you certainly have experienced people who are like that. And I feel like regardless of where you are in your walks of life, there are bits of your life in this film. I think anyone can watch this movie and just extraordinarily fall for these characters. Coming in at number 4 is Blade Runner 2049. This is by far the most visually stunning film I may have ever seen in my life. Denis Villeneuve is one of the greatest filmmakers working today, if not the greatest. How he's able to make a sequel to such a film that honestly didn't need a sequel blew me away. This is how a sequel should be done. It enhances and enriches the world by also expanding on its characters while also working on its own merits as a standalone film. This film gripped me from its opening frame. The world is exciting, it's absorbing. I can't tell you how much I sobbed while watching this film. Ryan Gosling, Harrison Ford, everyone in this film is at the top of their games. This film goes in directions I didn't expect to go in, and I just really got absorbed. And the final moment of this film is just perfection. Now, my number 3 and my number 2 spot, I really could flip-flop back and forth, but regardless, I know one of you guys are going to have a very polarizing opinion about my number 3 film, and that is Mother. Mother comes from Darren Aronofsky and stars Jennifer Lawrence, and I think that this movie is extraordinary. It blew me away. It is polarizing, it is visceral, it is an assault to the eyes. It really pushes the boundaries, and I get that this movie is not for everyone. A lot of people hated this movie to the point it got an F score on Cinema Score, and I understand that, but I personally love it. I think Jennifer Lawrence has never been more captivating to watch as an actress, and it was really exciting to watch this film. Where this movie goes, the allegories that this movie is saying, the fact that you can have these sort of religious experiences while watching this movie and also have a non-religious experience while watching this movie is very exciting. I of course lean on the side that loves it, but I understand those who do not. Number 2 is Call Me By Your Name. This movie is beautiful, absorbing, and honestly a gut punch of emotions. I ugly cried during this film. I thought Timothy and Armie Hammer and everyone involved was just extraordinary in this film, and how this movie paints its romance is beautiful. It's a world you want to live in. How no one is stigmatized. The journey that these characters go on feel real and earnest, and how this is a movie about first love and the horrors and turmoils and the peaks and valleys of first love is extraordinarily beautiful. And I generally think the last 15 minutes broke cinema. Like, I ugly weeped like I never weeped before, and the credits alone is probably arguably the best scene of 2017. And of course, we've come to the end of the line, my favorite film of 2017, and that is Dunkirk. Dunkirk pushed the boundaries of visual storytelling I've never seen done before in a blockbuster. This movie was so scary, tense, visceral, completely glued to my seat. I cried, I laughed, I cheered so many times while watching this film. I completely lost myself. This is one of the few movies I can see that I generally can forget that I'm actually watching a movie. And I think that is mainly due to Christopher Nolan's brilliant direction. I cannot believe the things that are accomplished in this movie. How he's able to craft these enormous sequences is incredible. There are these sequences of these dogfights, and he's telling this visual storytelling instead of 3 standard acts, but through 3 different timelines, and telling that as one large act is, in my opinion, incredible to behold. I completely lost myself when I saw this in 70mm. It's one of the best theater experiences I have ever had in my life, and I love this movie. Not only would I say that this is my favorite film of 2017, might arguably be one of my favorite films of all time. And there you have it, you guys. That was my top 10 favorite films of 2017 list. I know so many people probably rolled your eyes at this list. I do not care. But I also would love to know yours in the comment section below. So please tell me, what were your top 10 favorite films of 2017? And 2017 was a great year for movies. And keep loving you and loving the movies that you love. And until next time, you guys, I'm the Slasher Movie, and you guys have just been slashed.